Happy Monday! Woo! We're back with another episode. We're still alive. It's kind of questionable over the weekend whether crypto is dead or not. But we've got a lot of news to report on from that time. What did you see over the weekend, Ceara?
Okay, well, the biggest thing is that this morning, Hong Kong approved the ETF. So there are some other things that happened in response to that, like stablecoins in the UK and Germany's largest federal bank partners. And so we're going to talk about all of that kind of stuff, which is cool. And then we're going to go a little bit deeper DeFi. We're going to talk about what's going on in terms of FOMO and scams and how you can stay safe. And then an Amazon engineer who fucked DeFi over. And then we will also talk about Solana, because that is what everybody wants to talk about today.
Solana is top of the news for some reason. Anyways,
not for a good reason.
I have a lot to say, so let's get
to it.
Go.
Okay, let's just jump right into Hong Kong. So,
okay, let's do it.
If you're in North America, you woke up this morning to the news that Hong Kong has granted approval to several spot Bitcoin and Ether ETFs, enhancing its profile as a future regional crypto hub and beating America in terms of the timeline. This is managed by prominent firms like China Asset Management and Harvest Global. So these ETFs are going to diversify investment opportunities for the crypto sector and just for the average everyday citizen who can participate there. Despite the approval, details on the launch timeline are not yet disclosed. This move contrasts with mainland China's restrictive stance on cryptocurrencies, positioning Hong Kong as a more welcoming environment for all of us in crypto. JD, are you embarrassed that Hong Kong did it first?
I don't think I'm embarrassed. I think there's more of this to come still. I mean, there's other jurisdictions throughout the world that are obviously interested in market share here and trying to capture control and some of the tax revenue, et cetera, from this type of space. I was definitely cautiously not very optimistic. I think when Hong Kong first came out in 23 with their rules, but to their defense, they did kind of work through that pretty quick. Like the approval process for the firms that did get approved was relatively.
JD's frozen. It was relatively quick. I think this is pretty big news, mostly because America still hasn't done it, and America's probably not going to do it during the election cycle. So this is pretty unique for anybody who has the ability to invest in Hong Kong. I think it's a pretty big move for those who are interested in crypto curious in time for the bull market. They'll be able to move right in. Oh, you're back. Do you still have an opinion?
I'm back. No, I have no opinions. I don't know what the hell happened. My whole thing just shut down.
Super weird.
Anyways,
well,
yeah. So, what did you say about it? What did I miss now? Now I'm screwed.
Everything. I said everything that there was to say.
Everything important that there was to say?
There's nothing else you could share about Egypt. Okay, what do you think this will do in terms of, everyone now is going to say Hong Kong is a global crypto hub. How do you think this might change the American economy in terms of crypto? Are companies going to move over there? Is investment going to move over there? What does that look like?
Well, I think we've been seeing investment move offshore forever, really, in the space. As soon as people started meaningfully thinking about it and attorneys got involved, everybody said, hey, we better get offshore. So I think it's not as much of a leap. And this is where I think maybe regulators are a little bit wrong here. In many industries, it's very difficult for a company to just pick up and move. I mean, Tesla did it, obviously, which was kind of crazy, California to Texas, but that's pretty rare. Like usually once you're committed, you're kind of stuck. In crypto, we're really not at all. I think we shouldn't overplay our hand thinking that just because people live in the US that we're just going to continue to, do all the US stuff regardless. That being said, I think this is important on a few fronts. Yes, it's important that there's maybe another emerging crypto hub, but I think what's most intriguing to me about Hong Kong getting the approvals is there is a lot of inroads from Hong Kong to China and from China to Hong Kong. So there's, yes, probably your average citizen can't move a ton of money from China to Hong Kong without scrutiny, but there's a lot of corporate and enterprise ways of doing that, as evidenced by some of the banks involved here and some of the funds and asset managers. Anyways, all of that to say, in theory, this really could change the makeup of the space in a lot of ways. It could allow a lot of Asian capital into a market where it otherwise may not have been. So I think this is all in all quite good. Does China have money to buy crypto? I don't know, but they have a whole bunch of underperforming assets. Pretty sure they're probably interested in some overperforming ones. So we'll see.
Well, it's interesting to think about how the broader countries are going to participate in something like this too. A lot of the articles say, hey, this is interesting because China can't participate. They're really strict on crypto regulation. Well, actually, it's because they're launching, a stablecoin as part of BRICS. So those are two very conflicting strategies that are going to impact some of the same marketplace, right? But the UK also wants to bring in a stablecoin. You want to tell us about that?
Yeah. UK is to enact a new crypto and stablecoin regulations by July. This signals the economic secretary. The UK is poised to introduce comprehensive legislation for stablecoins and other crypto activities such as staking, exchange, and custody by mid-2024. Economic Secretary Bim Afalami announced the initiative at the Innovate Finance Global Summit, emphasizing the government's commitment to making the UK a global hub for cryptocurrency. This follows a landmark bill passed in 2023 that already recognizes these digital assets as regulated financial activities. Isn't this just more of the same? Like that?
Totally.
Is this even at all relevant at all to anything?
Well, I think that what's interesting here is when the news came out. So Hong Kong says, hey, we have our ETFs now, we have Bitcoin, we have ETH, and literally within a couple of hours, this news came out about the UK. So how reactionary is that? Is this part of the vie for continuing to be the crypto hub, or maybe trying to be the crypto hub, not continuing to be? What does this actually move? I think it's just political.
Yeah, I think it's just posturing too. I mean, if we're sleeping on the fact that BRICS is mobilizing to create global payment infrastructure and to create use cases and public acceptance of some of these assets, we shouldn't be sleeping on that. Like that is the real thing that's actually happening. And if we don't get our poop in a group here in the Western world, or at least in North America, we're going to lose it. We're going to lose the opportunity to be meaningfully competitive.
I think we maybe already have, right? Because the people who came out in response to this news weren't Canada and the US or what have you, but it's the UK, and then Germany also had some news today. That kind of
I mean, instead of being completely fuddy on this one, the one good thing here is they came out in 2023 saying everything will be a regulated financial product, and then everybody went, okay, so how? And what do we do to be compliant? And they go,
they were like, well, JK, I don't know.
I don't know. And so now they're coming out by July. At least they're going to outline, hopefully.
It's strange news. I love that news is like, hey, we've been thinking about it. Yep.
Yeah. Oh, good for you. It's the thought that counts, I think, right? That's what the saying goes.
Okay, let me tell you about what's going on in Germany, because this news also came out shortly after the Hong Kong ETF news. I don't know that it's so much of a response, but it's kind of interesting to compare and contrast. So Landesbank Baden-Württemberg, which is Germany's biggest federal bank, is set to launch crypto custody services in collaboration with Bitpanda by the second half of 2024. This is aimed at institutional and corporate clients more than retail clients. The move highlights the growing demand for digital assets among corporate customers. This development comes as German financial institutions are increasingly engaging with the crypto market, coinciding with the impending EU regulations, aka MiCA.
Yep. This is actually kind of interesting in the context of a debate that's been happening recently, and that is where and how enterprise is going to participate. And I think up until about 15 minutes ago, most people assumed that most enterprise was going to end up on closed private blockchains, like Onyx for JP Morgan, Goldman, and Microsoft. But it turns out with BlackRock and other massive firms using public blockchains for a whole bunch of reasons, I think we're seeing a heck of a lot more of that. So if that is in fact the case, excuse me, and if enterprise in fact is thinking, okay, instead of trying to build our own walled garden, let's go and benefit benefit of the innovative capacity of these public blockchains and benefit our users that way. In order to do that, they have to have kind of intermediaries to be able to stay compliant. In this particular case, custody. There's a lot of rules around custody, specifically in TradFi, but when it comes to crypto, there's going to be a bunch, I suspect, if you're holding assets on behalf of someone else. And so this is like the next logical step. I think this is great in a lot of ways. Again, I mean, we can hate on regulation all we want, but we know it's coming. So, I mean, we might as well usher it in and then figure out how to respond and influence change if we need to. But yeah, this is good. We're probably going to see a heck of a lot more of this, I think.
The most notable theme of all this for me is that it's institutional, right? So Hong Kong approves Bitcoin ETFs, approves ETH ETFs. Yes, that's interesting. I suppose citizens could participate in it, but it is aimed at institutional investors. This is aimed at institutional investors. The regulations coming out of the UK are aimed at institutions. We aren't seeing as much pandering to retail anywhere except the States because of the election cycle. And I just think that's super interesting. Even Canada is way more institutional focused right now. I think that's something to really take note of.
Yeah, it could be. And I wouldn't be surprised, actually. The advisory model in traditional finance is how regulators kind of control every inroads into a particular market. It'll be interesting to see if they try to do something similar here. I'm just not sure that it'll work as well. But we'll have to wait and see. I mean, custody, enterprise, obviously, if you're building a solution and it's a solution that probably caters to both enterprise and retail, most people go enterprise first. You get scale, you get large enough customers, enough revenue, then you can expand. I think we'll see a heck of a lot more of this in terms of custody and different custody options. But then again, a lot of DeFi custody is irrelevant if you have self-custody wallets, depending on how the protocol works. But anyways, all in all, I think this is good. We're going to see more of it. But that being said, we need to continue to expand the ways for enterprise and meaningful asset value to come into the space. And this is one of the best ways to do it.
Okay, I don't want to just talk about government for the whole episode on Monday. So can you just tell us a little bit about what's going on in DeFi?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of talk, well, actually, we talk about this a lot. And I think it's one of the major reasons, actually, that I was motivated to want to begin the pod. And Ceara's dogs also agree. But we talk about this a lot during the last bull. We've talked about it during the bear, and now we're talking about it again. Crypto FOMO, obviously, leads to increased scams. And so Wired did a deep dive into FOMO versus scams in DeFi. As crypto prices soar, the resurgence of FOMO, fear of missing out, has also led to a spike in fraudulent activities, particularly through the proliferation of scam meme coins. Investors eager to capitalize on the next big crypto rise, similar to Dogecoin, are being targeted by elaborate scams promising significant returns. These scams often involve early pre-sales, manipulated social media marketing to lure investors to buy non-existent or worthless tokens.
Okay, this is actually a pretty interesting topic because one of the things that we've discussed in terms of DeFi, in terms of crypto for a long time, is utility. How are you going to use this token? What does this token mean? And that is part of regulation, and that is part of pre-sales, and that is part of being a viable business, and that's part of why everything's offshore. But I think this is super interesting because people who are seeing the bull again and seeing all the news about the halvening and seeing all the news about ETH getting upgrades and seeing all the news about ETFs are like, ooh, I should probably get my piece of the pie. And they don't know what they're doing, right? We see this every single cycle, but if there's no utility, there's no utility, right?
Yeah, I mean, an argument could be made there's little utility for most DeFi tokens currently until we have some regulatory clarity. That being said, there's more utility than this. So at least there's a protocol trying to be built underneath it. These meme coins, there literally is nothing. Now, like, just taking a step back, we talk about due diligence and making sure that you do research and have some objective conviction. So like after the fact, you can tell me why you invested in something. That's probably pretty important. When it comes to these like meme coins and stuff, first of all, if they're doing a pre-sale for a meme coin, why? They're not building anything. I can mint a meme coin in 45 seconds myself for free. Well, next to free. Like, it's not rocket science. It's actually quite simple, especially with AI and all that stuff now. It's very simple to make quasi-professional looking graphics and quasi-professional looking landing pages and so on. It's a lot easier and a lot cheaper than even 6 months ago or a year ago because of proliferation of AI. And so you just got to be careful. Like, I mean, if you see something that has just launched, you have no idea who the team is and you can't figure it out, and there's not very much liquidity in the liquidity pool, like the market cap is 10,000. Like, what are you talking about? Somebody sells $20 of that, the price goes in half because there's zero liquidity. Like, and then often, unfortunately, a lot of people try to play the game theory here, and you get burned. The guy pulls the rug, the developer. Like, a lot of these end up being rugs or some sort of exit scam where the developer has like 20 or 30% of supply. They just market dump when the market cap gets high enough. Yes. There's a lot of crap that happens here. The point is, I think, you should in crypto have a trading plan if you're going to participate. You should have a reason that you got into something, and you should have logical, objective reasons when and how you're going to get out, ideally.
I think there's something else here, which is, this is maybe a little bit abstract, but there's the concept of the sense of belonging, right? You haven't belonged to this, you want to belong to it, you get invited to a Discord, you get invited to a Telegram, you're feeling really good about it, everyone else is buying, or at least they're saying they're buying, and then you buy too, and then you get rugged. There's a lot of that can be false as well, right? So it's easy to get burned, not just monetarily, but also from that social sense, which can kind of turn people off crypto and really lowers their sentiment. So,
yeah, I mean,
I just want to throw that out there too, that just because one community rugged you doesn't mean everyone will.
It's really easy to fake engagement, both in Telegram and Discord, on Twitter. Like, you got to be pretty careful. Just because there's a big following, lots of posts and people commenting, that doesn't mean anything. Absolutely nothing. Think about it this way. Let's put it in perspective. Let's just say that the purse was $1 million. Let's say that if they scammed somebody, they could get $1 million. Would it not be worth it in like 24 hours? Would it not be worth it for like 100 people somewhere in like some hacker house, and their only job is to make meme coins and all comment and make it seem like there's community, let all these idiots buy and then dump on them? That happens all the time. It's sophisticated, so be careful. I mean, honestly, like, if you want to play these meme coins, here's my word of caution, and we can move on because I know we've gone a little over on this one. But I mean, many people are coming into the space. They're spending their time trying to figure out what the heck's going on. How do I participate? How can I maybe make money? Most people come in with like an appropriate approach, and then within like 15 minutes of being in the space, they're like, "Holy shit! Somebody just made $500,000 on this meme coin. I better throw all my life savings into a meme coin too." And it spirals pretty quick. So just be careful. Like, a very, very small proportion of your portfolio should be shit coins, in my opinion.
Okay, let me talk about some other vulnerabilities that you may face, such as using an actual, normal, real DEX or protocol and then having it get hacked. So Shakib Ahmed, who is a former software engineer at Amazon, has been sentenced to 3 years in prison for exploiting vulnerabilities in smart contracts, stealing millions in crypto from only DeFi platforms. This landmark case marks the first conviction of its kind involving smart contract hacking. Ahmed managed to withdraw $12 million, pled guilty, and has returned most of the stolen funds.
Yeah. So there's been a lot of debate over whether using smart contract code to the what seemed like an illogical end, but using it to its illogical but already programmed end, you're not necessarily stealing. And so that's been the argument, like that it's just a bunch of code, and our opportunity is to use the code within the parameters of said code.
That's actually, that's actually what he said as part of his defense, is that his actions are more akin to a cheat code in a video game than a hack that undermined the financial system.
So I tend to completely disagree with this, because I think there's a lot of other areas of finance and life that, I mean, obviously this would never fly. So it's kind of surprising to me. Like, you can, for example, if your bank makes a mistake and accidentally gives you an extra $1 million, you don't actually get to keep and spend that $1 million. Like, if you spent it,
that's TradFi, man. This is DeFi.
Yeah. So, but I mean, this goes to show, and we've been saying this forever too. Anybody that thinks they're anonymous in DeFi is lying to themselves. You're not anonymous. Like, they can find you for sure, unless you're probably one of the
to jail for sure.
and now they can send you to jail. So, I mean, I don't mind this. I think there's a lot of these, like, there's a lot of risk vectors that people don't think about. SIM swapping your cell phone providers, that's a real thing. A lot of that happens. That especially with those eSIMs, because they can SIM swap without physically having your phone. So anyways, just you got to be really careful, obviously. But it's good to see that we're starting to punish people that are acting like idiots.
I want to end super funny, like really, really funny. Can you tell me about Solana?
Well, I don't think this is funny at all. It's probably bullish.
What?
And we should probably ape a few more tens of billions into Solana, because that makes sense. So a leading DeFi founder resigns amid $150 million worth of withdrawals and intense platform dispute. The Solana blockchain faces turbulence as Edgar Pavlovsky, a prominent founder within the DeFi sector, steps down amidst escalating disputes involving DeFi platforms MarginFi, Solblaze, and Sollend. The controversy centers around accusations of misconduct, misinformation, and financial management issues, culminating in over $150 million in user outflows from MarginFi. This has intensified scrutiny over the governance and operational practices within the Solana ecosystem.
And as best as I can tell, this is really the first time that there's been any scrutiny on governance or operational practices within the Solana ecosystem. Usually people really believe in them.
They believe in the 5 people that make all the decisions for Solana. I mean, I don't mean to. Okay, I do mean, but I have to get my bias out. I'm not a big Solana fan.
Yeah.
Haven't been for a long time. A lot of people don't like that opinion, and that's fine. So I do have a bias here. I don't like Solana to begin with. So this to me is confirmation bias. I see more things that remind me why I don't like Solana. Now, all of the other criticisms about the tech never working and the centralization and the fact that there's zero utility there, et cetera, let's put all of that aside, and let's just talk about their DeFi suite and governance. This is where I don't like these types of articles, because what we should be talking about is Sollend, MarginFi, and what was it on?
Solblaze.
Solblaze. Sounds like somebody was smoking the ganja when coming up with names here. But anyways, what we should be talking about is the governance of those 3 projects and what went wrong with those 3 projects as case studies for how we can make governance better. Unfortunately, what happens is, again, another somewhat illogical conclusion is drawn that, oh shit, there's one problem with one group and one particular founder. Who knows whose fault it is? I have no idea. All of Solana is screwed. Their governance sucks. Their operations is horrible. Like, what? That has nothing. It has nothing to do with Solana as a blockchain. It has everything to do with the 3 projects, how they've been run, in the communities surrounding them.
Well, so actually, that's part of why Edgar Pavlovsky has left. He said that there's disagreements on how they handle their affairs. There's disagreements on how they manage their internal projects. There's disagreements on how they handle their external affairs. And he believes that there is not enough social impact or maybe utility impact for Sol. So he's out. He's left, and they've paid him out. He's gone.
To me, this just sounds like someone who's a little bit butthurt. I think he's just a little butthurt.
He really doesn't want to participate, and that's maybe good. Why have somebody super funny on your team, right?
No, fair enough. I just think it sounds to me like co-founder dispute more than anything.
Absolutely.
Which kind of sucks.
Okay, that is your weekend news roundup. That is all the news that happened over the weekend. I hope you were outside touching grass, because we weren't. We were reading all of this news. Tomorrow we have Bitcoin and ETH news, and there's a lot of it. I've been collecting it already.
Woohoo! Okay. Oh, I guess it's Monday, so we might as well start telling the people. There will be no Go FUD Yourself Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and possibly Monday.
What?
Wednesday, Thursday. Well, it depends how my flights end up, but we'll figure it out. But for sure, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, no pod. We are doing what we're calling investigative journalism.
Other people call it Token 2049.
Yeah.
Okay, like, share, subscribe, make sure you ring the bell, bring a friend, because why are you watching the news alone?
Sharing is caring. Sharing is caring.
Yeah, do it.
Go FUD and chill. FUD and chill? FUD and chill?
Gross.
Like Netflix and chill? GFY and chill? Go FUD.
JD.
Anyways, what? Later.